Yeah. Especially from distance. Lob pass, Johnson! Shot clock is down. Johnson, another three, and he hits that one. Nice give, go, and dunk. Mensah from Butler. Butler down the other end, going strong right at House and lays it up and in. Key shot, Johnson! Steps through, back to House on the way, got the three! Launches and hits. It's a three. Jalen House and New Mexico in Viejas.
It's the 96th episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. 96 episodes. And today's a Kiss the Rings episode. We got the Kiss the Rings crew with us live and direct. We have the man, you cannot stop him, you can only hope to contain him, SD Sports Fiend. You were not in the show, SD Sports Fiend.
I was not. Did you see that the security guards were carding all the students to get into the show?
Really? Because I went down there. I skipped my way down the steps, and security kind of put his hand up as if he was going to stop me. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to give my guy a t-shirt real quick. Give me a second. He's like, okay, go ahead.
Well, I guess you're VIP there, but no, it wasn't that. My cousin was in town, and so we just hung out where my seats are, and we just chilled up there. I'm giving it back to the students. The students are pretty much, they're going to be in session next week, and so they can take it from there until the Mountain West tournament. Then Fiend may make another appearance in the show.
The Fiend may make another, talking in the third person. Love it. Well, I'll tell you who else wasn't in the show. That was our one and only basketball and sandwich aficionado, Mike Tortolot. You were not in the show as well. So I'm putting the loss on both your shoulders.
Hello, gentlemen. I've never actually sat in the show. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. That might go and coincide with my haven't watched motif of 2023 with you guys, but yeah.
The man that hates coming to America. He's never been in the show. I don't know if we can trust his.
Is he really an Aztec fan?
Yeah. It's pretty bad. You got to at least one time go down in the show and just jump around a little bit.
And technically, I'm the only one who graduated with an undergrad for San Diego State in this group.
Hey, I'm a born Aztec. I got the Aztec blood in my veins.
Does it really matter if you're undergraduate or graduate?
Well, if you make a comment that elicits that kind of reaction, then yes. But no, it does not, because you're a graduate as well.
I was partying on Montezuma Mesa before either of you two even knew how to get there. So let's just stop right now.
San Diego State University.
All right, guys, so the Aztecs lose. They won the first game. And, guys, we said it earlier that these two games are these are the games that you go to Viejas Arena for. Nevada at home, New Mexico at home, back-to-back games. You knew they were going to be big. Both of them pretty much for first place. We just didn't realize it was going to be switched. Nevada was going to be for first place. New Mexico wasn't. But essentially, every game is going to be for first place now because this conference is just crazy. I don't know if you guys saw that Colorado State UNLV game. That game was nuts.
I did see it. You know why I saw it? Because it went overtime before us. And the interesting thing, the game before them, it didn't break into the UNLV game, the Colorado State game, until 4.5 minutes left in the first half. So CBS Sports needs to do a better job at distancing their games. 2.5 hours. It's always 2 hours or 2:15. But that game before, I can't remember if it was William and Mary or someone. It literally, I remember there was one Aztec game where I was at the game and my buddy's like, dude, they haven't broken in the game. I'm like, bro, it's almost halftime. And it was that same situation. And then that guy from Colorado State, Stevens, just hit this unreal shot at the buzzer to send it to overtime. And it was just holy Moses, man. So, yeah.
And he hit the game winner, too. He hit it to go into overtime, and then he hit the game winner as well.
Yeah.
And then got the steal.
Yeah. The one to go in overtime was that Jared Lucas one that Fiend sent us the thing about. It was almost half court. It was way out there. And I was like, of course, as soon as he shot him, I'm sure he's going to make this thing to go to overtime. You know what I mean? And he did. But
more on that, because that's who we got up next are the Colorado State Rams on the road. So more on that to come. But yeah, that's going to be interesting, man. They stole that game from the Rebels, which is fine. Which is fine.
They really did.
But the Aztecs did beat Nevada on the first game that we're gonna be talking about a little bit, right? Nevada, it seems like 10 years ago now, 74-65. The Aztecs beat them at home. That was a really good game to be at, though. I mean, Matt Bradley, Lamont Butler, Kashad Johnson. I think Mike, you said that was a Kashad Johnson game. Was that his breakout game for you?
Yeah, I had a feeling he was going to break out. He's had 2 good games back to back, but that was the most complete game I've seen them play all year, I think, except for maybe that Ohio State game. I mean, there was one situation where Ledee got the rebound, kicked it out to Butler, and he shot it. He passed it over to Seiko and he hit the 3. That was the best ball movement, that sequence I've seen all year from them. And they just played well. They always play well against UNR. 11 in a row at home. They haven't beat us since they've joined the conference, and we beat them 9 in a row. So I also think Jared Lucas would be a great villain on Magnum PI.
Why do you say that?
Well, look at him. He looks like one of my favorite shows of all time is Hawaii Five-0, the new one. I love it. Everybody thinks it's kind of campy, but it was just the depth of it. You know what I mean? Like I loved it. And so he looked like some of those guys who are like, the villains on that, with the tank tops and surfing and stuff like that, and the Fu Manchu. And I was like, God, he would be a great Hawaii Five-0 villain or a Magnum PI villain, But circling back, the whole thing with everybody, I remember everybody was talking about the last 4 minutes of that UNR game. UNR closes out games. They have a habit of closing out games on runs this year. So that was a perfect storm of, we were up and we got a little lazy, and they are a good team at closing out runs. I saw the stat when they were playing Utah State. I mean, look what they did to Utah State 19-0. And I know Fiend said it's easier to do at home, and I agree, but 19-0 period is pretty impressive, especially to end a game. So they've done that for 4 or 5 or 6 games this year where they've ended on runs. So, I mean, they're not a bad team. They're just young.
Yeah. Both of you guys are sweating it out. Both of you guys were sweating it out.
I was worried about it, but we did it. Pulled it out.
No, that game really, the first half really reminded me of the 2018 Mountain West tournament when we played Nevada. Do you remember we were up like 53-23 on them? I mean, just complete domination. And the game was pretty much out of hand. And for the first 36 minutes, I mean, we played our best basketball of the season. And then they threw the press on us, and that's when they got back in the game. And, well, I wouldn't really say back in the game, but they covered the spread, and they narrowed the gap on us. And so that was a little disappointing to see that. But I mean, just judging by the overall, how they played in that game, I was really impressed.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think to break the press, where we really started to click there toward the very end was when we went to a 4-guard lineup. Bradley, Trammell, Butler, and Seiko on the floor with a big man. I think that's who you need to have on the floor when you're trying to break the press at the end of the game, when someone, other team's trying to foul you, because you need 3 or 4 good ball handlers. And I think having 4 guards on the floor is much better.
The best part of that game, guys, was that they were absolutely harassing Jared Lucas. Like, they were on him the full game. He was getting so frustrated. You could see I was sitting kind of up, but behind like his friends and family section. So they were cheering everything he was doing when he was doing something good. His numbers were way below what he was used to getting, though. You weren't seeing none of those, deep threes that, you guys were kind of like detailing about. But, it was great to see us have so much swagger in that game. But then it's like, okay, you get to New Mexico, and it was just like a total flip-flop of attitudes, unfortunately. So like, it was raining hard on Saturday all throughout campus. Like, this was one of those games against New Mexico, guys, that like, we were celebrating there at Eureka before. My buddy's getting married. He's celebrating his engagement. It's the eve before my birthday. So it was just a festive atmosphere there at Eureka. Like it was just out of control. But then you get there, you sit down and get your seat, and like the team just came out. Like, all that swagger that they had against Nevada, New Mexico came in with that and then some more. I mean, what were your guys' takeaway on the loss to New Mexico, guys?
Well, I mean, I thought it was a pretty subdued atmosphere to begin the game. Because of the rain, there were huge lines outside. I saw a photo on Twitter. The line was like past like the arc. Like it was, I mean, it was terrible. And people are standing out in the rain, and so, what happened was there really weren't that many people in the seats by the time the game started. And then people kept filing in. And then finally it started to fill up, but it's like 5 minutes into the game and we're down, 10 points. And so I think that start was not good for the fans. It was not good for the team. They came out flat, and New Mexico really controlled the game early.
A lot of those New Mexico fans were there in the arena.
I think New Mexico had a beef. I mean, we handled them pretty well last year at home, and House didn't play very well. And I was reading an article. He's like, I wanted to come out and prove a point, and he played his ass off. I mean, I don't really care for some of the antics he had after, scoring and things like that. I mean, but my philosophy is, if you don't want him to do that, you need to stop him, and they didn't stop him. So he just played well, and Mashburn played well. I think House had 29 and Mashburn had 22, and that is a problem for us if you have two guys who are going to score that much. I mean, if you stop Lucas on the game before, yeah, you have Blackshear, but they don't have the powerhouses like New Mexico has with House and Mashburn. Jamal Mashburn was in the house, by the way. I don't know if you know.
Oh, really? Was he? Okay.
Yeah. So they just played well, and Udezzy's a big body. You got 29 and 6 from House and 22 and 3 from Mashburn. I mean, that's 51 right there, and we only scored 67. So that's tough to beat when we're have just not the firepower there, and we just didn't play well. I mean, they just beat us, and then the technical foul on Mensa was the deal breaker. We finally got up the foul, apparently from a ref who's not used to him in there. And then that was a quick tee. So I was curious about that. I don't know what it was there, but that was a really quick tee. I don't know if I've seen a tee that quick on Mensa or anybody that, that they got the foul and then bang, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, that's 5. And then that was it. That was the last lead we had, and they just went on a 12-0 run. So, I mean, props to them. They beat us, but we're going to get them again.
I know Ziegler was putting out some tweets about that call against Mensa, and he was detailing about the refs, that none of these refs were really that familiar with the Mountain West play, and that ref in particular who made those calls really wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was pretty demonstrative. Nathan's reaction was pretty demonstrative. If you were there in the arena and you saw it up close, I was sitting pretty close. He was really frustrated, and rightfully so. Though the actual foul was pretty bogus call. Mm-hmm. And for him to be in foul trouble to begin with was pretty bogus, but his reaction to it did warrant some kind of maybe it was a quick technical, but at least like a warning or something should have been given. But he was just visibly frustrated. He was having a good game. He was perfect for all his shots to start. And I mean, it looked like that was a little bit of our advantage. I mean, Keshad Johnson had 10 points. Mensa was hitting all of his shots. Those bigs in the front court could have been an advantage for us if they would have, kind of targeted that a little bit more. But, I want to harp on this for a second, guys, because I've said it since, his whole career here at State. Nathan Mensa is a perennial defensive player of the year, or at least candidate. The dude has battled against some of the best big men in the conference and has held more than his own. But for some reason, these refs, he's always in foul trouble, and never nearly as much as, maybe somebody who's a little bit more offensively gifted and crucial to their team on that end that we've seen in the conference. In particular, I'm thinking of, what's his face at Utah State. I don't even want to say his name, but the lack of respect, man, the lack of respect given to Nathan it's appalling. It's embarrassing because he's such a dominant defensive player. They just don't give him the benefit of the doubt. But like I said, I think his actions did kind of warrant that technical.
That was the most demonstrative I've ever seen him on the court, I think, or most passionate. Let's put it like that.
It probably shouldn't have been a technical, but it did look like he charged Udezzy. It didn't look like he was going after the ref. And anytime you sort of charge another player, that pretty much warrants a technical. I think Udezzy said something to him, that got that reaction. But the issue that I have with Mensah is he is a fantastic interior defender, but he likes to do this thing where he's guarding a guy with their back to the basket, and he tries to poke the ball away, right? And when he does that, sometimes it works and he gets a steal, but a lot of times it doesn't and he gets a foul. And I think he got 2 fouls on that same move against New Mexico. So then you add in the technical, that's 3 fouls on him that could have been prevented. So I think he's just got to play smarter and not do that stuff. I don't think it's worth the risk. We need Nathan on the floor. And you saw what happened to him, happened to us after he went out with 8 minutes left. I mean, I think we had a 1-point lead. Yeah. And then we lost by 10. Yeah. Is that right?
They went on a 12-0 run after that.
They went on a 12-0 run because he wasn't on the floor. So he's got to be smarter than that. It's frustrating because yes, he's a great player. He's dominant inside on defense, but you just can't take those risks on defense that are more than likely going to get you a foul. And then what is the reward on the other end? You get 1, maybe 2 steals. Is that worth him being on the bench for the last 8 minutes of the game? I would say not. So I think moving forward, he's just got to play smarter.
Yeah, straight up defense, because they're not relying on him to get steals down low on the block. That's more of the guards game, which we have excellent, defenders up there with Butler and Trammell generally. But I don't think that should have been how we lost the game, guys. I mean, we have plenty of other muscle that we can bring in, whether it's a Ladi, whether it's, Kashad. But let's talk about not having a Gweck in this game. I know, Mike, you alluded to it as far as how is the rest of the season going to go if he's battling injury. But, I just look at it as the bigger issue. And, Ladiz had a good run these last 2 back-to-back games. He was supposed to come in, be the guy, be that presence down low or at least around the block that can move around and kind of be that interchangeable guy so that you didn't have to play a Gweck so many minutes. I mean, Agüek was like borderline whether he was even going to come back this season. So kind of taking that into mind, I still don't think, Mensah going out early, that shouldn't have derailed this game as bad as it did.
All I know is it did, you know what I mean? And I'm going to be curious to see how they adjust that, because obviously with the rope being out, that is a 10 to 15 minute on average guy that gives you those hustle minutes and those extra plays you don't necessarily see in the box score. I think the other issue is Trammell's having a tough time right now with the bigger guards. And I love when Trammell catches and shoots. He's better at that. He's a great player. He's just having a little tough time acclimating to the height with some of these big guards. And I've said it before. I've always said it. When you're the cream of the crop in a conference, and we've always been like that in the last 10, 12, 15 years, there's a little blip here and there with, Boise or UNR, but we're the one who's always there. Teams are built to beat us. Teams are built to win their conference, and you have to go through Mount Olympus, and that's us. So it didn't, but I mean, you didn't have a rope to fall back on, and then Mensah, and I think they just kind of caught off guard with the guy guarding Bradley, and he just wasn't ready for it. He even said, he's like, I should have drove more. And here we are again, live by the 3, die by the 3. And they died by it. And House and Mashburn just played great games. They had a chip on their shoulder. They came out and they beat us. And we talked about it last time. We knew we weren't going to go undefeated in the conference. I think whoever wins this conference might have 3 losses.
I like that point about Bradley. He did say that in the post game. I was listening on my pitiful walk of shame back to my car, and he was like, yeah, I could have been more aggressive there in the end and kind of, taking it to the hoop more. He almost got that and one, and all of Viejas just went berserk.
Watching the replay at home, that was an and one. I'm confident after seeing it a couple times. Now it's tough when the refs do it bang, bang like that. But looking at the replay, I was surprised they didn't call it an and one.
Yeah, the reffing was pretty bad in this game. I mean, down the stretch there was a sequence where Desi just took Seiko and threw him on the ground, grabbed the rebound, and then, put it back in. And then on the other end, the very next possession, I think Bradley got called for an offensive foul where it looked like Mashburn kind of leaned into him a little bit and just, took the charge. But it just, yeah, I thought it was poor officiating. And if you're not going to call a foul on Udeze for what he did to Seiko, then you really can't call a foul on Bradley for what he did. So I think it was a pretty piss poor performance by the refs, but we've come to expect that in the Mountain West. I mean, that's kind of standard, for them. But back to the point that you were making about having AG not in the game, down the stretch. I think he is I think it hurt us much more on the defensive end than on the offensive end. Just because he can play that 5 spot so well, and he can switch and guard multiple positions. One of the things that I really saw in this game after watching the replay was how much Ledee struggled sort of recognizing when to switch. And so he was caught out of position and then closing out late, and so he's still learning, how to play defense as an Aztec. And I thought that's where we really missed Mensa towards the end, and AG, because he really, I think, struggled to defend, especially on the perimeter.
That he didn't get that switch when Mashburn House hit the 2 free throws, and then he hit the 3. So, that was the switch that's when Dutcher called the timeout and brought him over. And then it when it rains, it pours, no pun intended. But I just,
yeah, no, we didn't do a good job overall, identifying switches. I mean, there was one, I don't know if that's the 3 that you're talking about towards the end, but like Trammell got caught like behind a screen. There was a switch, and then they trapped, I forget who it was. It might've been Udeze. They trapped him, and then for whatever reason, Trammell didn't pick up House. They kicked it out to House, 3-pointer, bang. And so just the communication was off. It really wasn't good. And we need to do a much better job of that. The one thing I really love about Ledee is just his energy. I mean, that guy plays with nonstop energy, and he has met expectations as far as rebounding, I think, in my opinion. It's just been more sort of like the defensive end that struggles. And then offensively, he's had some difficulty, finding his rhythm and hitting his spots. I mean, there was one shot where Trammell had a beautiful, he drove and he kicked it over to Ledee. It was almost like a behind the back pass to Ledee. Ledee catches it. Mensa has his guy walled off. All Ledee has to do is just take it in, lay it up, or dunk it, but he settled for a mid-range jump shot and he missed it, and so he's got to do a better job of recognizing, how he can get to the hoop and not settle for shots that aren't as good as the ones that he can get.
I agree.
That's good. That's good stuff. I would love to see him get more touches, but yeah, that's good stuff. So a couple things, if we're just looking at the stats, just general stuff, the stats on both sides weren't all that dissimilar. I mean, 3-pointers each made 6. Field goal percentage was pretty similar. Rebounds pretty similar. The part that kind of trips me out is our assists, where we had way more assists than them. So that just shows you that House and Mashburn were just going off. They're just going off and making shots. What everybody was talking about are the free throws, right, guys? Because it was a terrible performance on the free throw line. Let's say all those shots go in, we're still not winning the game, because look at New Mexico, 16 of 22, they missed a couple. So if they hit all theirs, they still win the game. Free throws, you hate to put the whole game on free throws. It's just not the case. But it was a factor. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, 52% from the line is never going to cut it.
I think what really surprised me too was Trammell missing all those free throws, because that's very uncharacteristic for him. It looked like something was off with him. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, something was going on. I mean, you're right. Yeah, he doesn't miss free throws, or at least multiple free throws like that. Maybe one here and there, but there was something strange was going on.
It's one thing to miss, like, some threes, which he did. He had a very bad. This is probably his worst offensive performance of the season. But yeah, there was something going on there, because he just doesn't miss free throws like that. So I mean, I hope he's okay. I hope he's not like hurt, or I don't know, maybe he was sick. I have no idea. I'm just speculating at this point, but it did seem like he wasn't his self. So hopefully he can get back, and play a little better in next game.
Okay, real briefly, guys, what are your guys' thoughts about New Mexico now? Because Mike said they were fraudy. Fiend didn't hate New Mexico, their program, but to see all those fans that were there, dude, they were loud and proud at the end. It was pretty annoying, man. I don't know about you. What are our thoughts on New Mexico now moving forward after they came into the house that Fisher built and beat us for the first loss in conference play?
One game does not make a team season. I think they're good. I think they had a vendetta against us and they want to come and beat us. And again, everybody wants to beat San Diego, especially at home. And we beat their ass last year by 25. So they came in. House didn't play. I don't believe he played the second half last year. He had 4 points and X amount of turnovers and stuff. So they just fed off each other and you have a game. And, when your team is good and they haven't been good in a little bit, why not travel to San Diego even in the rain? So, whatever. That's a good, I don't know. They're 3-2. They lost to Fresno State and UNLV. So we've only lost once. I think we're still the better team. They just had our number that night. I don't think they're better than us by any stretch of the imagination.
It's crazy to think about how bad we played offensively. All the missed shots. We had a lot of open missed shots, 3-pointers, shots that just went in and out of the hoop. All the free throws, everything that went wrong in this game, and yet we still had a chance to win the game against a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that worried about this team moving forward. I think, our defense, like I said, is always going to keep us in games. But as far as New Mexico is concerned, that's going to be a tough game to go back to the Pit in February.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Mountain West tournament, and I really hope we play New Mexico. I hope I'm close enough where I can jaw with House. I would love to have a few words exchanged back and forth between him and I. That would be awesome.
Do you have notes ready to go for what you might say to him?
I'm sure I will have. Yeah, I will have bars. I'll be spitting bars at him.
Well, it's nice they got a player that we can now hate again and now get some of that Fiend hate. Just to put a bow on that game, guys, I got a text from Aztec Andy, the hologram, and he's saying Adam Seiko, he's got the second highest field goal percentage behind Kashad Johnson, which is nuts because Kashad plays very close to the rim. And he's hitting 50% from 3. So just a little nugget there. We talked about it last episode. Hopefully to get Adam Seiko some more touches, some more plays, get this offense going when the other guys aren't hitting as usual.
But he needs others to help him, get open. And once he can get open, he fires that 3, and more often than not, he hits it. So we've talked about this before on other podcasts, and I'm not going to rehash it. You know how I feel about Seiko. He's one of my favorite players. I think he should be starting. I don't think he gets the respect that a fifth-year senior in this program should get, but he's a very humble player. And sixth year. Yeah. Cause he redshirted 1 year, but he is the consummate team player. He's never going to complain. He's always going to compliment his teammates no matter how they play. But I think that, I don't know, maybe it hurts his ability because he's such a nice guy to actually get more playing time and to speak up and say, hey, yeah, I need a bigger role on this team. And I think he certainly does. And he's earned that with his play. I mean, if you look at, according to KenPom, each player on the Aztecs, and almost, I think the last 6 or 7 games, like his offensive rating is just off the charts, but he's only getting like 20, minutes a game. And while the other guards are getting about 30 minutes a game or over 25. And it's frustrating that they're getting more usage in this offense than a player who is much more efficient. And so that's my biggest complaint. about this offense is that we're not doing enough to get Adam Seiko open to get him the ball.
Craziness. So Fiend, you're putting together an article looking forward because we got Colorado State Wednesday night and then we got Air Force on Saturday. So out there in the desert. So give us your take on the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, they really struggled in the non-conference play, and when they didn't have their best player, Isaiah Stevens, who was out with injury. He's a point guard, leading scorer, crazy assist to turnover ratio. I mean, he's just a really solid first team all Mountain West player, and he's kind of getting back into shape and back into form. But I don't think they have the guns that they had last year with Roddy, first round pick in the NBA draft. They didn't really replace him. And so Colorado State has come out and they're 10-9, I think is their record.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, maybe, is it 2-4 or 3-4? 2-4 in conference play. So a couple of things that really stand out to me is they don't rebound the ball well, and they're big interior players. So they got one guy who's pretty big, but they're pretty soft on the inside. So I think that we could probably dominate them with our bigs inside. We'd be able to grab rebounds, be able to score inside. I think that should be the game plan, is to really attack them. They don't really play good defense either. They're very good on offense, but they don't play good defense. So we should win this game. It's always tough going on the road to Moby Arena. Their fans usually show up against us. And so it's not a gimme game. I mean, we're going to have to play well on both ends, but I think we should come out with a victory.
Colorado State, I mean, that's always a tough place. I always like watching a game there. I remember when DJ Gay hit that shot at the buzzer to beat him. That was wild. That was one of my favorite ending of the games. I think you got to stop Isaiah Stevens and let somebody else beat you. I mean, he's had 33 points against them. I mean, so if you can I think at some point you got to figure out, hey, we're going to stop our guy. I think we had just trouble with stopping both those guys from New Mexico. But if you stop Stevens and you make somebody else beat you, I think we have the horses to stop the other guys too. But Stevens is the guy.
Yeah, we have to close out on their shooters too. They're really good 3-point shooters. Last year was a crazy game. You guys remember that? We lost that close one where Bradley he got fouled at the end, but they didn't call it.
Yeah,
the ref swallowed his whistle. It was like his 5th game in 5 days or something, and he had to get a flight back to New Jersey or New York that night. So that people were saying that he didn't want to make the call because he didn't want it to go to overtime because he had to catch a flight back east, and that was really messed up. But no, what a great game that was. I mean, there were like 3 lead changes in the last 30 seconds of the game, and I mean, I hope we don't have an ending like that this time. I hope we come away with at least a 5-10 point win, but we'll see.
What always sucks recording one of these after a loss, it's what can you do? You just got to bounce back. But it's got to get up for shot clock questions now, guys, because as hard as it may be, Fiend won the last one. In hindsight, you probably should have got that one, Mike, when I went back and looked at it, but it took you a while to get your 5th, buzzer, violation to get going.
Well, if ifs and buts for candy and nuts, what a lovely Christmas we'd all have,
All right, guys, let's get motivated. It's time to shoot your shot with our 3 shot clock questions. Got to make this a competitive listen, right, for the listeners, because it's Fiend versus Mike Tortolot. So Fiend won last time. You're in control of the ball this time, Fiend. You get the first crack at the first shot question. Number 1, there's been rumors that Viejas Arena is going to be undergoing a little bit of a renovation pretty soon. So what kind of renovations would you want to see done to Viejas Arena in the coming years?
I think they got to get rid of those bench seats. They need to have the chair back seats. Definitely. I mean, you can't have any of those bench seats. They're really uncomfortable. No one wants to sit in them. It'd be nice to get some sort of ribbon board, with more lights flashing in Viejas Arena. I don't know how they would accomplish that. There's got to be a way. You got to get more just more excitement, more electricity, just with the lighting in Viejas that can be improved. And those are probably the main things that I would want to see.
All right, not bad. That big new scoreboard is just not good enough for Fiend. He needs more. He needs more lights, more action, more video, everything. Okay, all right, that's cool. Mike, what you got? Shoot it.
I like to see him open up the up top more and put more food options that are more stable there. Maybe push the gates back a little bit and open it since they opened up the entrance there. Push the ticketing office, give you 5, 6, 7 more feet around the concourse. So when you're standing in line, the lines don't go all the way back and you can't get through them, and then you got to push through it. I'm pretty happy with the inside. I don't know what you can do or how much you can really do with the seats, but I agree with Fiend. The seats, you got to have backs to those seats. That's tough to sit there with just for 2 hours. But yeah, more easily available food options that are outside and a better concourse and open it up a little bit, I think is the main thing for me.
Maybe some more like gathering areas outside there where people can eat and drink and just kind of be a little more social. Because right now it's just kind of empty, right? You just got like the snacks and the couple food truck stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just push the gates back. You know what I mean? Just I know it would take maybe 2 years because you got to do a little bit of time, but like push. Where the entrance is, you could push that back 10, 15 feet if you really wanted to. I don't know the logistics of it, but maybe open it up a little bit more and have some more options and things like that. It is the main thing I've always seen, because it's always the food lines are long and then you got to run up there and shit. My seats, man, you got to do like a trek to get up to the bathroom, dude. And it's like, I remember the only time I fell one time and I was like, oh man. But
I'd like to see a FanDuel sportsbook attached to it, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
They might not be able to do it because it's on campus, I would imagine, right?
They shut off beer sales at halftime. So like, it's on campus. It's a little bit of a different story than like Snapdragon, right? Where it's just, kind of rowdy.
More AleSmith, San Diego State Ale, and get rid of Carl Strauss is my biggest beef.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want.
And seeing Fiend in the show more often, I think, would be lovely.
If I can get down there.
I think I'm gonna give that round to Mike because I think I like your suggestions. They're a little more impactful, though. I did like Fiends getting rid of the bench seats at the top. Though I never sit in them, man. They hurt my butt. I don't have a lot back there, so I'm sore by the end of the game, man. I'm hurting.
Pretty in the middle, but she got much back.
All right. Second question. What is on your personal basketball bucket list? It could be going to a venue or just a particular game or just going somewhere to visit or seeing something or experiencing something. What is on your personal, doesn't have to be Aztecs related, anything basketball?
I would love to see Duke, North Carolina.
Tobacco Road.
Yeah, I mean at both venues. If I had the opportunity, I have a buddy who's from North Carolina, and he's gone to games, and he says like it's unreal. There's nothing like it, and I think those games would be awesome to go to. That would be the number one on my bucket list.
The history of those two North Carolina schools, and too bad Coach K's not there anymore. And it's like the changing of the guards, a whole new coaching staff, and everything out there. It's like but still, yeah. All right, Fiend, take your shot. What is on your basketball bucket list?
My bucket list would be going to watch the Aztecs in the Final Four. I think that would absolutely be awesome. I mean, especially if they were to cut down the nets. I mean, I know that the venues that they're at, they tend to be like these big football stadiums, and like it's not very good. You can't really even see the play. But I think the energy of just being there and just being around like rabid college basketball fans, and then being able to kind of pump our chest out because we're in the Final Four, and just I personally that would be, I would be happy if I could do that. I'd be satisfied.
Dang, you're getting me all in my thoughts now, like a Final Four run. What would a Final Four run for the Aztecs look like? That would be pretty dope. I gotta go with that one, right? Because it has to do with the Aztecs. So,
You're gonna go Duke, North Carolina? Come on, Mike.
Bro, he said it doesn't have to be San Diego State, and I was like, all right, well, I mean,
well, you went there. You chose a non-San Diego State game, non-San Diego State venue. So we know where your allegiance is.
Damn.
Here we go.
Accusations.
He keeps peppering. I think he's upset because my deep dish pizza didn't come out the way he
Oh my God, dude.
helped. He
That
said
was-
he's like,
that
you gotta
wasn't-
put up the top. I had never made it before, and it was the first time. And so you learn more the first time to the second time. And it just listen, I could have probably handled that a little bit better, you know.
Mateo, you in the video version of this podcast, you have to put a picture of that pizza on it. That was not Chicago style pizza. That was Reno pizza.
Bro, but I'm not a culinary expert like you making those pies. Those pies look incredible. I had never made it before, and I'm gonna learn. It didn't say put it up the sides, and so even my buddy who was here, he's like, I think you should put up the sides. I said, it doesn't say that on the instructions. The first time I make something, I always follow the instructions to a T, whether that's right, wrong, or different. But the next
So who
time
was giving you the instructions though? Was it someone from Reno?
it tasted good. It tasted good. It didn't look. It tasted better than it looked.
Well, that's all that matters, man.
But I want to make it again. I'm going to try a couple other styles before I.
Hey, man, you'll get it, man. First, you don't succeed, try again.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he sends me. He's like, "Oh, this is what it's supposed to look like." I'm like, "Oh my God, that looks incredible, dude!
Shut up.
It looks so good." And then he's, I make my own dough. I make my own sauce. I built my own oven, and then I'm like, God dang, man! But I do want to make an Italian beef next. I want to try that. I got to get
Literally, all I did was follow a YouTube video.
That. Yeah, but
That's it. I just know how to follow directions, Mike.
Oh, no judgments. No judgments.
I have feelings, man.
Yeah, it's all bubbling up.
Yeah, no, yeah, you guys are just so supportive. It's so I really appreciate it.
It looks like volcano.
No, it was good. I was like, dude, and then we tried it.
That's awesome.
First attempt at Chicago style.
Dang, you guys getting me hungry, dude.
I could call it Reno style.
Okay, last shot question. And this is probably going to make you guys feel uncomfortable. Give us your best Coach Dutcher imitation speech to the team to get them motivated and back to their winning ways this Wednesday night on Fox Sports 1 against Colorado State. I'm going to give the ball. I'll give the ball to Fiend there. Your ball, Fiend. Shoot it.
All right, guys, look, last game wasn't our best game. Let's just face it, okay? But there's a lot of basketball to be played. We've got this team that beat UNLV in overtime. They're pumped up to see it, to play against us. The crowd is going to be rowdy. It's us against the world. Let's go into Fort Collins and come out with a W. Let's play really good team basketball, share the ball, and play great defense. And this is not going so well, so I'll give it to Mike.
Hey, you gave it your best
I'm
shot.
taking my L, man, right now.
Yeah.
I just take my L.
You gave us your best shot. Now it's Mike Tortolot's time. All right, Coach Tortolot, what you got? Shoot it.
All right, guys, we're gonna start another streak here. We got 13 games left in the season. We're gonna go 12-1. Those rest of those the rest of the season. We're gonna get our 1 seed, so we can play early on the Thursday. And we have 2 tough road trips, our 2 tough road games coming up here in Colorado, back to back with 2 good teams on the road. Beat those teams, and then let's get home and face Utah State and go from there. But the most important thing is let's put that loss in the rearview mirror. Let's see what we learn from it, and we'll be better prepared for Colorado State. Go in there and we'll get a W, and then we'll worry about Air Force after that. But the only thing we got to worry about right now is Colorado State, and going in and get that W and get back on track here.
Very nice. Very nice. Good coach speak there, man. Very motivational. Brought up some good points and starting to streak. Getting that number 1 seed. That's what they got to keep their eyes on. Getting that number 1 seed. Just got to get that number 1 seed. That's it. So we can get there in Vegas, not have to worry about Wednesday. Get there for Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, the championship game.
Yes.
All right, Mike Tortolot wins this game of the shot clock. You get all the music, all the confetti dropping down. One shining moment plays. Everybody's happy on the podium. Mike receives his award, and he's going to Disney. Okay.
Speech, Mike.
You know, I'd like to thank myself for just putting in the time and the effort, and just really dedicating myself to myself. I would love players to just say that. I like to thank myself. I mean,
Couldn't have done it without myself.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without myself. No, I look at it, and what are you gonna do? You can't worry about what happened. You can only worry about the past or the future. You know what I mean? One man's paradise is another man's purgatory. So don't let it be yours.
Much better.
Much better.
All right, guys, we need to get a win. We need to get another win. Get the energy going
I need
again.
to get some
Aztec
sleep,
Nation.
man. I'm tired.
Yeah,
Went
yeah.
to Tijuana this weekend.
See, why didn't you start with that?
It was
Tijuana.
good, man. But I'm exhausted, man. I had a long weekend. Between the game, went to Tijuana. I got some really good tacos. Best tacos I've ever had down in Tijuana.
Yeah, that's a bomb spot you went to. That's Taco
Yeah,
Nazo.
have you been to Taco? Yeah.
Yeah, they have some up in LA too.
Really?
Yeah.
The other place that is supposed to be really good, Tacos El Frank. I
Frank.
think it's called. Is it?
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah, they're closed
they're
on
good, too.
Sundays.
Oh, okay.
So they.
Yeah, you sometimes you got to go down there and just like hit up all the little spots. You know, it's like, dang, they're so good.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
All right, guys, let's call it because I gotta get editing.
I'm
on this
tired,
thing.
man. Sorry, I wasn't on my A game tonight. I'm
You're good, bro.
just really
You did-
tired.
You did great. And you did an article too, dude. You had a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean,
I'm not-
it's rainy. We just lost. Like, there's you know, it's been a
It's a
tough rest of the
lugubrious weekend.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. Make sure you are checking us out and subscribing on YouTube. Shout out to our 500th subscriber on YouTube. L. Smith with a koozie and some stickers for him and his dad. They were watching the game there on Saturday at Viejas, so I had to make sure we gifted him a little something for being a 500th follower on YouTube. But definitely check out all of our episodes on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, all that good stuff. And definitely look out for Fiend's Colorado State article preview coming out very soon. Until next time, SD Sports Fiend, Mike Tortola, and Mateo San Diego. Go Aztecs.
Thanks for listening. Go Aztecs.
Yeah, go Aztecs. Get that W on Wednesday.
Welcome to my gym where the crowd stays heavy. Keep the bus running cause this won't take long. 4 minutes left, here the show still going strong. We